Survivor Series 2021. My God. You know, going into this show, I had literally zero interest. This was literally, and I've been watching wrestling for a long time, and I have seen every single Survivor Series pay-per-view. This was the most lazy build-up to a Survivor Series in the history of this company. We've seen some lazy ones and last-minute ones. The build-up to this, like, good God, how could anybody care? They announced the teams on Twitter, then they suddenly, chose to, flip-flop the teams on TV, which wasn't very interesting. They couldn't get along. They did the same angle for, two of the different teams. They have been teasing the Biggie Roman Reigns feud for a while, so I'll give them that. That was kind of a thing, right before the draft. And we knew they were going to do this. But, my God, it's so lazy. And once they announced that this was going to be the celebration for The Rock, I think some people went into this show thinking The Rock was going to show up. Now, originally The Rock was going to show up and begin the build for a match at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns. But that's been changed because The Rock's not going to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania next year. Instead, Brock Lesnar will wrestle Roman Reigns. Now, The Rock will wrestle Roman Reigns in 2 years. So, this whole night, they kept playing little video promos about The Rock's career highlights. When he debuted, when he won the 2000 Royal Rumble, when he wrestled John Cena, stuff like that. And yet, strangely enough, they go in and don't even produce The Rock. They do a 25-man last-minute battle royal that means absolutely nothing and don't produce The Rock. The Survivor Series matches feature talent that just got drafted from the other brand, but they're supposed to care about this new brand even though they aren't even acclimated to that brand. It's so weird to me. And on top of that, they tried to push this Becky and Charlotte Flair thing as a shoot, and nobody believed it. This was the most flaccid build-up to a pay-per-view in quite some time, and the show itself wound up being not a very good pay-per-view. Now, I want to get this out of the way right now. The problem with this pay-per-view was not the wrestling. It was not the workers. They all worked pretty hard. Everyone did the best they could, and a lot of the matches were carried by the good work. But my goodness gracious, the booking on this show was absolutely atrocious. So they booked themselves into a corner where they have guys wrestling each other, but they don't want to have anybody actually lose a match clean. So for the majority of the show, you had either screwy finishes or countouts or disqualifications. I mean, bro, there were more countouts on this show than any WWE show I've seen in a long time. Since maybe the 90s when they'd have those long TV tapings and they would have DQ finishes and countout finishes because nobody wanted to lose. It felt like that. They booked themselves to a corner to try to protect guys, but all they really did was piss people off. And how are you going to sit there and do this whole Rock, tribute, and The Rock didn't even show up? It would have been one thing if The Rock would have shown up. Maybe not cut a promo on Roman Reigns, but just shown up and thanked the fans and thanked everybody for 25 years. The Rock did not even show up. It was in New York. They planned to do a thing where they were going to do something special for The Rock because he debuted 25 years ago in New York at Survivor Series in Madison Square Garden, but The Rock did not even show up. That's wild, bro. That is wild. On top of that, they moved the Nakamura and Priest match to the pre-show, which was actually pretty good. Except, again, it ends in disqualification because they didn't want to have anybody lose. It's funny how, when it comes to the Survivor Series, they'll protect guys, but throughout their regular pay-per-view schedule or other times during the year, they won't. This was so flaccid. Now, I do want to say some good and bad things. Like I said, the work was good. The matches, though, were good, but for the most part. But the finishes killed the show. This is some of the most uncreative BS ever, yo. I'm not going to turn this into an AEW versus WWE thing, but Full Gear last week had what? Almost all clean finishes. Like, WWE is still stuck in this mode, and I don't understand. So, I want to talk about Becky Lynch and Charlotte. They opened the show, champion versus champion, but nothing's on the line. None of this matters. And they started the match with this, like, worked shoot thing. Like, if you notice, the match starts very aggressively. And I think they were trying to tell the fans that this is supposed to be a shoot. But nobody believed it was a shoot. Because it's not. They started wrestling. But I will give them credit because the match was good. Like, they went out there and they were throwing some stiff kicks, stiff elbows. Like, they were actually working, yo. They were working hard. And I respect Becky and Charlotte for trying. But honestly, I feel like the Becky and Charlotte feud, we've seen this match so many times. And yeah, it's good, and they try something different this time, but it just, we need to get more of a variety of women on top of the brands, because it's the same thing over and over again. Now, Team Raw versus Team Smackdown, again, you had countouts. They did, 3 countouts in one match? I understand they don't want to have, like, Drew McIntyre get pinned. I get it. I understand they wanted to have Seth Rollins win because I think he's feuding with Biggie now. But, man, those finishes. Now, I'll give them credit for this. The work was good. Bobby Lashley is awesome. Jeff Hardy and Seth Rollins had a really, really good finishing sequence. Really, really good. Sheamus and Finn Balor had good chemistry. So there was stuff to like about the work. Like I said, the work in the match was good, but man, the finishes were bad. Seth Rollins won. The Battle Royal was a complete waste of time. Actually, the whole show was a waste of time because none of this matters, Joe. Like, tomorrow night on Raw, they did this angle with, like, Vince McMahon gets this $100 million golden egg, which nobody thinks is worth $100 million. You can't be that stupid. And somebody stole it. So they're going to have a storyline now. I don't know where it's going to go, where Vince McMahon is trying to find out who stole his egg. I'm not kidding. It sounds like bad fan fiction, right? Anyways, the Rock 25th anniversary 25-man battle royal brought to you by Pizza Hut. Again, some good work here. Ricochet did some good stuff here. The Street Profits almost won, which I knew he was going to win because he's the guy who they're protecting, even though the problem is the guy can't work. And it's one thing if you have like a big guy who's not a good worker or who's, not a great worker. You can have that. They've had that before in this company. But almost like Great Khali, where he literally can't work. He's too tall and can't actually have a match. So he wins. And barely even moved. It was so awkward. Guys are like moving around him. He's like pushing them over the top. Like, it was so awkward. You would think that he would win like a trophy or something, but instead the Street Profits took like the Pizza Hut pizza and threw it into the crowd. Who could care? Who could possibly care? It's like, I wonder if WWE realized they've been doing this crap now for like 20 years, and they are so behind the times, yo. Like, and I feel bad because the Brooklyn crowd really tried to get into some of this, but there were some moments where they were totally dead, yo. Now, to me, the best match of the night was RK Bro against the Usos. This was really good. Matt Riddle works really well. The Usos is probably the best WWE tag team, I would say, consistent tag team of the past like 10 years. They were phenomenal here. Everyone worked really hard, and they got the crowd back into the show because the crowd was dying, yo. They were not into this. This match got the crowd back in. And I want to see these guys wrestle more. I want to see RK Bro and the Usos wrestle more. Team Raw versus Team Smackdown with the women. So some of this match was really, really sloppy and bad. Again, more bad finishes. Some of the match, though, was good. Not a lot of it, though. Anything with Rhea Ripley or Shayna Baszler was pretty good. Shayna Baszler, I think they're going to rebuild her as being this, like, submission machine. Hopefully she'll get a push back to the top again, even though Vince does not like her. Or at least he didn't before. And the best part of the match was the Sasha Banks versus Bianca Bel Air section. Like, the crowd was into it. They went in there, did athletic moves, lots of like reversals. Like, it was almost like, the long awaited rematch from WrestleMania. And it was really good. Like, that was the highlight of the match. It was down 3-1 with Bianca, and I'm thinking, okay, this is the same thing they did last year, where Bianca's got to come back and fight off the odds. But I thought they were going to have Shotzi actually get the win, because they're pushing her now. But no, Bianca won. So I guess the rumors of her not getting pushed are not true, or they're going to push her again. I'm not really sure. Because, like I said, this doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Right now, the next pay-per-view is not for like 6 weeks, which is January 1st. So they're going to go into cruise control mode for a while and then start building up that January 1st show, probably the second week of December. So expect like nothing to happen for a couple weeks there. Then Roman Reigns and Biggie. The problem with Roman Reigns is this. Look, Roman Reigns is the best thing about the company right now. His promos are great. He's got great momentum. His matches are all pretty good. Like, Roman Reigns has good matches on top. The dude knows how to work. And he's fun to watch. The problem is, nobody believes he's going to lose. Nobody in that building thought that Big E was going to beat him until the last half of the match. They did a sequence near the end where Big E, he did the spear on the apron, which is a dangerous-ass move. But he reversed the guillotine into the big ending, but Roman got out of it. That was the one moment where the crowd got into it. Like, people were starting to actually believe that Big E could win. But we know that no one's going to beat Roman Reigns. We know, because you don't have to be a smart mark to know that Lesnar, which, by the way, I guess is not suspended anymore, that Lesnar's going to come back and wrestle Roman Reigns. That he's going to come back and probably wrestle him at WrestleMania. Right? That's the plan. So, until then, Roman's not going to lose to Big E. Even though it would be a nice surprise and a big shocker, send the fans home happy, he wasn't going to win. And guess what? He didn't win. Roman Reigns beat him. And again, it's not the fault of the wrestlers, guys. The wrestlers really tried. The WWE has great talent. It's not the talent's fault. The booking is so lazy. Going into it and on the show, it literally felt like WWE just wanted to get this show over with. It was, it's all on the calendar, all Survivor Series. Let's just put some teams together. Let's just book some, have them not like each other, book some feuds out of it, and just get it over with. Like, there was no passion put into this show. There was no thought put into it. Like, you would think that if Seth Rollins is going to feud with Big E, you would think that what would happen is you would have Seth Rollins and, like, maybe cost Big E the match at the end of the night. Yeah, it's a screwy finish, but it builds off of a feud. But instead, Roman just beat him. Okay. I mean, it was a good match. It was a really good match. Second best match of the night, in my opinion. But I can't recommend this show. Like, I can't sit here and tell you should watch this show, even though it had good work, because the finishes were so sloppy and so lazy that it doesn't mean anything. It's pointless. It is a pointless pay-per-view. So the next pay-per-view is going to be the New Year's Day show, which is probably not going to be an annual thing. Well, I'm not counting NXT War Games, but the next one is going to be the Day 1 show. And I'm thinking that by then we'll probably get Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, because he was protected here, which I expected. I thought he was going to win the whole thing. But they are pushing Austin Theory as well. I also want to say during the Battle Royal, they had this really good spot with what's his name? With Otis with the pizza, and that was good stuff. And R-Truth. It was very funny, but it was only for like a minute. So the only news coming out of this show is that Lesnar's not suspended anymore, which means going to come back at the Royal Rumble, probably. And they built up and teased and made it seem like The Rock was going to come back. They really made you think there for a minute he would. They really did. He was brought up all over the show. Vince's segment, video packages, even Roman Reigns did a similar move to The Rock bottom to the Uranagi. And they did not deliver The Rock, dude. If I were in Brooklyn and I paid for this, I would be pissed. I would be pissed. Don't sit there and dick tease The Rock all night. Do one video promo for The Rock and let it go. All night they were doing it. They were waiting for The Rock to come out and confront Roman Reigns, even if the match is going to be in 2 years. Maybe start the angle now. But no Rock. And I know there's people in that building. I know, because I'm getting text messages now from my friends telling me, dude, I can't believe they teased The Rock all night and they didn't deliver. That is unbelievable. This is easily, when it comes to booking and fucking with the fans, one of the worst shows in company history. The work was good, but my God, everything else fell apart. And it's really tough to be a wrestling fan and support this company, yo. It's really tough, dude. And it has nothing to do with AEW. AEW is doing great on their own. They're not perfect, but they're doing much better than WWE is at keeping my attention. WWE is just bad, and it's been bad all year, and we have some shiny moments here and there, but it has no right to be this bad. And I really hope it improves, because I don't want WWE to suck. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about this honestly horrible show. Horrible show.